Hey, y'all, Trace here. Thank you so much for joining me again for another session of Choice Spirit. Here, I want to talk a little bit about, I want to go into a little more deep. It's not deep for some because some of you know all of this stuff. You practice it, you're into it, and all of that. But many others don't. And still, you have others that don't really care, don't want to know that much, not trying to go that deep. Okay, so this is like that esoteric kind of stuff, metaphysical kind of thing, if you will, little far out, more into the spiritual realm of things. So this is where I'm going with this now. Like I say, you can either take it, leave it, or believe it. And when I say take it, leave it, or believe it, you can take it, play with it a little bit, share with a couple of people. Just when I talk about this stuff, when you leave it, you just turn your head. Don't entertain it. Don't give it any energy. Like I said about some of this other stuff, no energy, does not resonate. Turn your head, think of something else, leave it. Okay? Believe it means that there's some part of this that resonates with you. There's something with you in you that connects to what I'm talking about, and it makes sense to you. And so with that, you may choose to believe some portion of it and incorporate it in your life, or see things from this perspective from time to time. When situations and people show up in your life, you may reflect on some of this information. So I'm here to say, back on this thing, there's a lot going on around the world. There's a lot going on. And so I took a little time on to work on a couple of books. And yeah, it's based on this kind of stuff. So it may take me a little bit to get it out, but when I get it out, consider, reading them. So let me just say this. Anything that I say, once you hear it, there is no going back. Eh. So anyway, we're in the world and we're observing everything, and everything that we're looking at, everything that we're observing, we believe it is true. Everything we feel, we taste, we say, oh, this is reality, this is true. But is reality only within one's mind? And I talk about this so much. Is reality within the mind of the beholder? Is the reality within the mind of the beholder? This reality is not reality for everyone. Your reality is within your mind, which you can only see, you can only perceive, you feel it a certain way, and then it's true for you. But there is a reality within someone else's mind, which is true for them. And I know I talked about this a number of times. I know that what I'm talking about, there are some that don't believe any of this, don't feel this way, it does not resonate with them. And so for those of you that feel, turn your head. Turn your head. But for those of you that are into this kind of stuff or curious about this kind of stuff, reality takes place in the mind of the beholder. What you believe, you see, feel, taste, and so on, and everything else is within your own mind. It's not in the mind of someone else. It's like having a dream or a nightmare, and you wake up, and it's not possible for someone else to experience the same exact dream that you had, that you experienced. Even if they're in your dream, they're not experiencing your dream. So this is the same thing with what we perceive as reality. You're in your own dream, your own world. Okay? Now I know this is going to be a little scattered because sometimes I just try to find the right way to bring certain information to you. And like I said, some people don't feel this way, don't think this way, and it kind of like may even turn them off a little bit. But everyone has their time for everything. Everyone has their time to, everyone has their time and season to go through stuff, to experience stuff, to observe something and realize something different in life. So everything you believe you're sensing on the outside, all the sensations are waveforms that come into you, and then you work to make sense of that, which is then called your perception. So these waveforms come into you, and then you make sense of it. You decipher, if you will, what it is that you are seeing, what it is that you are feeling, what it is that you are tasting, what it is that you hear. Now, if you cannot, if you're not hearing something, seeing something, tasting something, you're not exposed to it, you are not then trying to make sense of it. So therefore, it's not in your reality. It doesn't mean that it's not being experienced by others, by someone else. It does not mean that it's not reality in someone else's world. It just means that it's not reality in your world because you did not sense it. You did not sense it. So, and even if you did sense it, if you sensed it and did not realize you sensed it, that's another story, because that can and that does take up space in your life without you realizing it, because you didn't realize you sensed it, but it's been put into, you've been indoctrinated with it. So that's another story. We'll go into that at another time. Okay? So as I said, whatever you believe it is, whatever you're electromagnetic, right? So this stuff is coming into you and you're transmitting stuff and you're receiving things. You're forming things, you're creating things within your you're creating things within your imagination. Okay? So whatever you believe it to be, whatever you perceive it to be, becomes your perception. Your perception, not anyone else's, but your perception, right? And then based on your perception, you form what you believe is real. You begin to set up a belief system for yourself. So everything around you is projected. It's within mind and it's projected as though it's outside. So you're believing, you're seeing these things, that you're experiencing these things. But it's really a projection from within mind. Okay? So you are believing that you are witnessing these things. Now, I don't want to go so deep. There's to go deep into this stuff. I'm just using this because there are people that know this. They know this. Our ancestors shared this knowledge with people, and they have found a way to keep the masses from understanding and knowing this, so that they can get them to live life a certain type of way according to their preference, so they can continue to exist. So those who have hold of who has this knowledge uses this knowledge to keep us in a controlled state, to keep us disillusioned. And in doing so, the masses who are not privy to this knowledge lives life accordingly. These entities, so these believed people, take up space in your mind as ghosts. As ghosts. They have no connection to anything. They're not connected. They can only exist within your mind. So it lives off the energy that you give to it. Otherwise, it would not exist without your energy, without your attention, without your temple, without your kingdom. These ghosts could not exist. So they who have this knowledge has used it to maintain control over the masses. And the masses who are sleepwalking in this state are literally keeping alive and keeping these ghosts thriving. I know, I know, I know. So know this, the only way they can exist is through the truth, the true being. That's the only way. And right now things are shifted. Things actually have already shifted. They've already shifted. So these ghosts that can only move around within your mind and with your energy exist. Got it? Yeah, got it. I know. But really, they can only exist within your mind. So as I said before, not everyone is wanting this much. They don't want to know this much. Or they'll deny it, and that's fine because, they just turn their head. Don't even bother to deny it if it doesn't resonate. Just turn your head, look the other way, and focus on what does make sense to you, rather than try to deal with what I'm talking about. Save yourself the energy of even indulging in what I'm talking about if you're not feeling it, But I just went into that to say this, all of that to say this, that if you are indulging in fear-based stuff, things that causes fear within, or any of these type of things, know that you are bringing up that fear emotion within your mind. You are sensing something and you are assessing that something to be fearful. And the same thing with worthiness and unworthiness. If you are feeling unworthiness, you have to know that it's something that you are concocting within your mind, the feeling of unworthiness. And the same thing with people doing things to you. It's something that you are manifesting within your mind that then you will experience. So that's what all of this type of news thing is about, where they want to broadcast news to you, different information coming across various platforms, so that you can take in this information and translate this information as reality, as your truth. That's what this is all about. That's why the power of having control over the media and what is broadcast, because it's literally broadcast and you perceive it, and then they tell you how to feel about it, and then these things are manifested within your mind. So there are times when we give things attention without realizing it, and that's how a lot of these things flow into us without our realization that is actually being imparted, and we're actually absorbing it and making it part of our reality. So if they can keep you distracted and consuming what they have written for you, you will consume that and allow that to make up your life, rather than create your own or listen to that which is within you to do for yourself and your life, your time here. So I know I'm talking, but this is about, having an idea and knowing how these things work. Knowing how these things work. Getting into your mind. Why is it important to get into your mind? Because then your mind controls your body. Your mind controls what you, how you even perceive the next things that come into your temple, the next thing that comes into your kingdom. It gives you a playbook by which you will walk by, which you would talk by, how you would live. And based on that, your actions and reactions are predictable. So those that know how this works use it to maintain control. over the masses by way of imparting information that we then take in and perceive as true, and we believe it to be true. And the more they play it and the more they put it out there, if you are not knowing this type of information, it's easier for this stuff to become a part of who you become a part of your life, and then the ghosts within mind take over. They actually live their life through you. Okay? So this is how we program ourselves. We entertain ourselves with programs, you know. Remember, we're programming ourselves. They're putting it out there and we're caught up in it. So we're programming ourselves to live out their agenda without realizing that this is what we're doing. Everything that we're consuming, just like food, you eat food, it makes up your body. It's what your body, your perceived body becomes, is what your body is, right? Energy transfer and transform. Okay? The same with the information they're giving. Is energy that is coming in, is vibrations that are coming into you, and then you transform it. You create something with that. And so whatever that is, whatever you believe it to be, is what you will form it to be. It's what you will create it to be. Within mind. Remember, it's within your mind. No one can say, oh, they believe this, they believe that. You can't, you're believing. It doesn't matter what you believe. Yes, it does. Because the belief first takes place within mind before you see anything on the outside. And those who knows that things, those who know this is what they're doing. And we're helping them. There are some things that are going on, but I don't want to go into the names and stuff, but let me just mention this. There are complaints about how people are treated in different countries, and how they're sent to these camps to reprogram the mind, so they send them off to these camps so that they can be reprogrammed, so that once they're reprogrammed, they can then project the new programming. They begin to speak a different way, walk a certain way, have different beliefs about certain things they may have been opposed to at one time, but now they are actually believing and reacting and responding as though this is their own belief system. So once reconditioned, they begin to live in a reality that they've been conditioned to live in. Just know this. They know once they get into your mind, they can change your life. They will change what you experience in life. They will change the trajectory of your life. They will change your belief system once you've been programmed. So that is a camp, but just think in terms of people having a camp that is handled through various platforms. They don't have to send them to a camp, a housed place. They can actually do it while everyone is sitting in their own home, and they just participating in the same narrative for the reprogramming. Think about that. It's something to consider. They don't need to send you to a camp. They can just have your eyes on board with whatever they are putting out. There is an agenda to spread some other news because they're busy running after trying to fix stuff that didn't really go the way they had anticipated, because there's a shift going on. So now they're chasing after things that are falling apart, trying to pull it together. So they're finding ways to get back the control they once had, and to basically put everyone back to sleep again, so they can just do their bidding and not be questioned. They have to get it into your mind. They have to get it into your mind. And sometimes this can be done by collective energy on the same wave, and that thought and that idea that then you sense, and you pick up that sensation, and you basically get a feel of what everyone else is thinking about, or what everyone else is fearing, and that fear comes up in you, or the idea comes up in you, but you really don't know exactly what it is, but you feel it. So it can come by that way, but know that the only thing that you can believe, you can be made to believe, is something that you see, feel, hear, taste, or something. You acknowledge to some degree, or you sense to some degree. You cannot believe something that you've not seen or heard or tasted or sensed or anything. It cannot become a part of your belief system. Okay? A quick story. I heard this thing where they were running, I mentioned this before in one of my other videos, where they needed to go into all the villages and make everyone understand there's this outbreak. Why? Because everyone in the villages were healthy. Why? Because they didn't know anything about this stuff. They didn't know anything about it. They had to be told and convinced that it's real in order to experience it. You know, same thing with our religions. People had certain spiritual practices, and someone sought to change the way that they did their spiritual, the way they practiced their spirituality. So what did they do? They had to go into the villages and make people believe that they were damned if they didn't. Same thing with any illness. They have to put on there all the time that these people are the people who are likely to succumb to this kind of sickness or that kind of. Why? Because otherwise the people would primarily be healthy. So they have to keep telling them that they're not. This is what it's about, people. So when you see things, take a moment. Is that going to be your truth or not? And if it's not of interest, turn your head. Turn your head and focus on what you prefer. Perfect health, well-being, sound mind, love, peace, harmony, joy, laughter, beauty. Much love. Thank you so much for joining me again for another session of Choice Spirit. Namaste. Namaste. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Subscribe. Hit the thumbs up. Subscribe. Just check me out from time to time. Much love. Peace here. Namaste.